Whoa. Pulling out a 1. That wasn't ready for one.
Don't spoil it for the viewers at home. What if they want to guess?
Unbelievable. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Designated Players Podcast. We are through match week 1. We have finished all of the games from the first game week of the season. Red Bull are clear. Atlanta are in the mud.
Yeah, fine.
I'm just kidding. No, it was a phenomenal week of football. Great stream on Sunday. If you haven't seen it, go check out some of the highlights on YouTube where we save our episode. But in today's episode, we are going to basically break down a quick recap of MLS Week 1. We're going to talk about players whose stock went up, players whose stocks went down, who had a really bad week. We're going to talk about coaches who are in the way too early hot seat, or maybe not, and we'll share why. We'll talk about our star of the week, the single best player, and we'll talk about the single worst player. And I think we might, I don't have notes on it, but we might just get a little crazy here and give us our best team of the week and our worst team of the week. Do we automatically keep FCC out of worst team of the week, knowing that they are consistently the worst team?
Maybe following this week.
All right. But before we do any of that, like we always do, we dive straight into Scarf of the Week. Connor, you got yours. I'll let you go first.
All right. Well, after a dominant week 1 performance, I'm bringing out the crew.
Oh, I like that. That's crew. Clean.
It's crazy. Did you know the Columbus Crew had a 9-0 goal aggregate in the first week? It's because they're Austin and they're Columbus.
Oh, that's a big brain joke. It went up.
Yeah, big brain jokes.
It went.
I forget I have little brain co-host.
The people who get it, and the people who don't, that's me, don't. In honor of the single greatest game that was played this week, I have broken out a scarf from a team that played in that game. Can you guess who it is?
Portland. That's
right. Hold on. From the thrilling 0-0 tie, it is Real Salt Lake. People say MLS is a bad league because the defensive quality is so bad. This was a 0-0 game. Clearly, defensive quality had to be through the roof. Big ups RSL. No, I didn't watch much of that game, but I'm really glad I did. It sounded absolutely awful.
You did not miss out on what it sounds like.
All right. So we're just going to jump right into it. It's season 3, episode 10, and I'm going to ask you for one of 2 players on your list whose stock increased this week, who made themselves look really good, better than we probably could have thought.
Here's the thing. You can ask me to give you one, but that doesn't mean that I want to. So
well,
you don't get to find out.
I'm telling you to because it's my podcast and you're going to do what I want.
All right, so I strayed away from the obvious choice here. I think I'll cover him more so later on in the episode. We'll get to that one. So I went with my 2 players, Clement Diop.
I only went for one.
All right, well, we'll start with Clement Diop. And my reasoning behind this was at the start of this season, we didn't know who was going to be in goal. Who was going to be the number 1? Was it Marsman or was it Diop? Diop gets to start the first game, and he played really well. Kept a clean sheet, had a really good performance. Going to need a lot more performances like that this year, most likely, because Miami's probably not going to be too strong. But I think he made a strong case for himself to continue to be the number 1 going forward until he either has an injury or a bad run of form. But a game like that, you're going to make it hard for the coach to swap you out. So I think his stock went up this week, seeing as how he pretty much locked down at least the number 1 spot for the next week going forward. And then my other player whose stock went up was Michael Estrada for DC United.
Ooh, I like that one. That was a good one.
Yeah. Talk about making a good first impression. How about a debut brace with a 3-0 win? Granted, it was a 3-0 win over Charlotte, who probably
one of his goals was a penalty.
That's okay. That's okay. The
I know
Ola
it's okay
Kamara
for
way.
you, for a person who lives on
It
MLS
is.
Merchants.
It is a. What is with DC and getting penalties? I don't understand that. Ola Kamara got joint Golden Boot last season just because it's the same thing. All right, but anyway, regardless, 2 goals in your debut. It's a great way to get things started for DC. Um, I think that the addition of Estrada was kind of under the radar from the summer. I know there's a lot of big signings, a lot of big names coming in, some exciting names, and I feel like Estrada kind of, was under wraps. I don't think too many people heard about it. Not too many people were getting like excited over it. But I mean, he sure is making it tough for people to not talk about him. No better way to get your name out there than to, force people to recognize you. Now, my question going forward is, can Estrada keep this up and keep Ola Kamara on the bench for the rest of the season? I don't know. It would be I would think it would be pretty tough, but I mean, you keep putting performances like that, you're going to keep starting.
Well, to bounce off the Estrada under the radar, I think that's a massively accurate statement. He came in, and I know we didn't finish. Well, some of us finished our transfer thoughts, our Instagram posts. Some of us didn't.
Yeah, the didn't was obviously me. You don't have to. Are you waiting for applause?
Yeah, I'm waiting for an I'm sorry. I'll do better, sir.
I don't have time for this. I have priorities outside of the podcast.
No, you don't. Yeah, when he came in, I was kind of like, okay, backup striker. Ola Kamara is going to get the start. He might do whatever. And he came off and he blew up. So a massively impressive signing and an impressive start. And I know we talk about it only being Charlotte, right? But at the same time, good players take down bad teams. He didn't drop to their level. He didn't, lower his game based off of the team that he was playing. I think it's a massively good start for Mr. Estrada. And I believe that he will keep Ola Kamara on the bench, because I do know that earlier, before the season kicked off, DC were shopping Ola Kamara. They were listening to offers.
Yeah, I think I remember about that.
Yeah, so I would reckon that unless he's hurt, Estrada's your guy.
Mm-hmm.
So my two-player, Clement Diop was also on mine, but I actually put 3 down just in case you did something like this, like stole my player.
Glad I did.
So when you are able to keep the future Golden Boot winner off the board, that is reason enough to raise your cap, but especially because we didn't know if he would even be starting.
I'm surprised you got a nice shout out there for William Yarbrough.
Stop it. He made 3 massive saves, basically from point blank range. He made a nice high dive save on Shaqiri on a shot from distance that was maybe looked a little bit nicer for the cameras than it needed to. He also made a really good one-on-one save against Ivanov to keep the clean sheet. And then in the second half, as soon as we kicked off, point blank save to keep out Kasper Shabilko. 3 massive saves to get them the point. Gaga Slina also had a great game in there, by the way, but Clement Diop was head above heels better. Can we talk about left back Pedro Santos being an absolute monster for Columbus?
He was really good.
He is one of my players whose stock went up this week. MLS Gone Wild said before the game that there is a world that Santos might be a best 11 left back in this league. And I thought he was just messing around. He was not. It's very system based. He fits this system very well. And he was only playing against Vancouver, but God, he was so good. 95 touches, 2 shots, 1 key pass, 77.1% pass accuracy, 2 headers, 1. He drew a foul. He made 4 tackles, 2 interceptions, 4 clearances, 8.00 who scored rating. I mean, the man was everywhere. He was doing everything all over the place. He fits the system super well, and he was just phenomenal all over the pitch. Really nicely done by Mr. Santos in there. And I'd like to see him play a team that is going to be better than dead last. So
Well, they won't be dead last, probably.
you put that team against Cincinnati, against San Jose in like a 3-team round robin, and I'm pretty sure the world's just going to explode.
Throw
Because
Charlotte in there, make it a 4-team round.
oh, Charlotte was better than that.
Oh, come on now. I don't know about that.
But the other player that I'm going to throw in there is a shout out to your boys.
Our boys. Is it Joseph Martinez?
George Campbell, the 20-year-old center back for Atlanta United, was phenomenal. He had basically 2 mistakes, and they didn't get hurt from them. But he had an 88.2% pass percentage, 10 clearances, 2 interceptions. He did take a shot. He made 2 dribbles. He got 2 fouled. Basically, he was just he felt very calm. It almost a lot of times I struggled to determine if it was Miles Robinson or George Campbell because ESPN Plus's stream quality was garbage. But it's also a note to how similarly they played. I think it was Doyle who tweeted, they basically took the genes out of Miles Robinson, cloned him, and then called their clone George Campbell. I mean, it was 2 of the same, and I would not be shocked to see him in a men's national team camp very, very soon. But he was phenomenal. And again, it's not necessarily just in the stats, right? But in just the way that he plays, the recovery runs that he made, the way that when Atlanta were pushing up and it was just him and Miles Robinson, he was able to cut down any striker, keep the ball and knock it backwards, right? Or keep the ball and just disrupt anything. For 20 years old, to have the way to read the game the way he did was phenomenal. I really loved the way he played. And I think his stock soared this week.
Fair enough, but I think that's fair. But I also think that his stock isn't going to continue to rise because as soon as Franco slides right back into that back line, he's going to be relegated back to the bench.
I don't know. After a play like that, and again, it was against you, like you mentioned, a good Sporting KC team. This wasn't him playing FCC.
I don't know. I still don't think they would bench. They're not going to bench Miles Robinson. That's a given.
Right.
But I don't think they're going to bench Franco either.
Let me run this by you. Back 5. Throw Gutman as an attacking wing back. Throw Brooks Lennon as attacking wing back. Put Sosa and what's his face?
There's a lot of faces.
Rossetto in the 2. Let them cover all that ground. And then put Marcelino Moreno, Thiago Almada, and Josef until Araujo gets healthy. And then from there, you go for another formation change. I mean, there's so much talent. I mean, you're probably going to see Marcelino Moreno play off the bench most of the game because there's just so much talent there. But I don't think you can take George Campbell out right now. Not after that game.
We'll see. I don't think they go to a back 5, but we'll see.
Oh no. Oh, sorry. That was a long time ago. MLS transfers tweeted, I guess Miami didn't learn anything from their Matuidi signing, and I thought they signed like a 40-year-old. And it's just them talking about wanting Sergio Busquets.
Oh, nice.
But anyways, let's move on to players whose stock went down a little bit. I'm going to start with you. You can give me both of them. Go right ahead, man. I'm not going to stop you. It's a free world.
All right. My 2 players whose stock went down this week. I've got Alec Khan and I'm going to botch the name, Christian Kalina. How do you pronounce his first name?
The Christian Kalina, the goalkeeper from Charlotte.
Is it pronounced Christian?
I don't know. I know who you're talking. Goalkeeper from Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So before we move on, for a person who thought Alec Khan was one of the worst goalkeeper signings in the league, to say that his stock went down.
I never once said that Alec Khan was one of the worst goalkeeper signings in the league.
Maybe not on recording, but I'm sure if I stuck a mic in your room, I'm sure you would have said it at least once.
No, he was not. I never thought that he would be one of the worst goalkeeper signings in the league. but he was consistently a backup and hasn't started a game since like 2018. So I was saying you were super high on him. You gave them like an A minus grade.
Player.
You gave him like an A minus grade for the signing, and I just thought you were ludicrous for that because he's an upgrade, but he wasn't going to be that much of an upgrade. And to dive into the analysis of why he's on here for me, it's game one. Obviously, we're just talking about the first game of the season. This stuff will very likely change going further into the season. So take everything with a grain of salt. Not saying Alec Khan is doomed for the rest of the season. It was a bad week one. But when I say it was a bad week one, it was a bad week one. That was T-Tone Vermeer-esque from Khan that first game. He finished with, I used two different rating apps to try to get like a score for him, just so there's a little bit of balance between the two. Who scored him a 4.47 rating? That is horrendous. That may have been the lowest score I've ever seen from someone who played 90 minutes in a game. And he didn't, it's not like he got red carded or anything. Like, no, he played the full 90, no red card, and still got a 4.47.
Just to help you out, of all players who played any minutes during any MLS game this year or this week, he was the worst rated.
Yeah. And I used another app called SofaScore. It does something pretty similar to WhoScored, does a similar rating. They gave him a 5.1, a bit more generous, but still 5.1, well off of what it should be, considering that someone who gets brought on as a sub, I believe, starts at a 6.0. So that's going to tell you as much as you need to know right there. I mean, that's horrendous. He conceded 5 goals against Austin, the team that scored the least amount of goals all season last year. I understand Austin improved. They were not going to be as bad attacking wise as they were last year, but what a terrible start. I fully expect that Khan will not be consistently putting in performances like this. It will get better. He needs some time to adjust to the team, get some chemistry with the back line, but I have to pick someone for the first week. And I thought we had a sense that Khan was going to be an improvement over Vermeer and T-Tone. And seeing as how he was at that level at the first game, I think his stock went down from where we originally thought. Then we have Kalina for Charlotte. I looked on Google. Google said that DC had 4 shots on target that game. DC finished that game with 3 goals. That means 3 of the 4 shots on target went in. Granted, this could have been from the defense. I didn't get to see the game, so I don't know for sure. He could have just been hung out to dry. But of course, I had to check my favorite stat. And I did. Alec Khan was the lowest by far. He had like a -2. It was horrendous. It was so bad. But Kalina was right there with him. Kalina finished with I think like a -1 or something. He was either the second to last worst rating or third to last. Not a good start. I would expect Kalina to be facing a lot of difficult shots and bad situations, just seeing as how the team defensively doesn't seem super strong and also has to get some chemistry and kind of gel together. But not a great way to not only start your MLS debut, but your team's MLS debut. Again, I fully expect that Kalina will grow into things. He will improve. I have to pick someone for week one. I just thought Kalina would be better. And I added a little note here. I said the only reason that I picked Kalina over Thomas Hasal was because Hasal was playing with 10 players for a bit of time. And I think he conceded like 2 while they were down to 10 men. So I thought it would have been kind of harsh to hit him harder than Kalina here. But yeah, so I went with Khan and Kalina for week one.
Very interesting. 2 goalkeepers, kind of rough. Not a fan being a part of.
No, I was trying not to. I picked Khan originally. I was like, I don't want to go with another goalkeeper, but I couldn't land on someone that I thought was like significantly worse.
That's fair.
Maybe I missed, but
okay.
What do you have?
Quick pause. All right, so 2 goalkeepers, rough, not a fan. On a side note, the fact that you didn't put Dom Dwyer on your stock up, must mean that he is your player of the week. But my stock down, I've got two players, both from Canada, or Canadian teams, I should say.
Picking on Canadians, kind of rough, man.
Come on, they deserve this. Lucas Cavallini is my first one. In place of an injured Brian White, he just really just let me down. I was expecting a lot more out of him. And even before the red card happened, every time he touched the ball, it just felt like he lost it. 88 minutes, he had 2 shots, none of which went on target. 5 unsuccessful touches / dribbles. Like every time he touched the ball, he lost it. He had 0 successful ones, 63% pass rating. Just felt really underwhelming for what Adam hypes him up to be. And I'm really glad Adam's not here because I wouldn't be allowed to say something like this. You know, and again, that's not really a knock on him. I know for 40 minutes he was playing down a man, but even before that, he just really, every time the ball came to him, it came off his foot and he lost it. Expected a lot more. Now, when Brian White comes back, obviously he gets relegated to the bench. Brian White scores 9 goals. We all celebrate, and Brian White makes the national team for U.S. men's national team roster. But up until then, I think Cavallini was a bit underwhelming. I think his stock went down this week. My other one is it's kind of a rough one, but Jacob Schaffelberg for Toronto. And I know he's not a left back, but as he was playing as a left back, he got absolutely demolished against Dallas, which makes me happy to say. Go on, Dallas. Dallas finally have people we know. I have to support them now.
You know one person on Dallas.
I know at least 2 because they both played for Greg's national team. Come on. Obrian and Ariola absolutely ate him up all day long. It wasn't fun. Every time the ball went in the air, he got lost. Going forward, he was pretty good. But in the defensive side of it, he just got massively beat up. He did have a 6.48 rating on WhoScored, but I think that was mainly for his attacking contribution. When he did go forward, he was great. He made 1 tackle all game. He had 2 interceptions and a clearance. For a team that was under that much pressure, that's really not great. He did give away 1 foul and was booked for it. And he did block a single cross all day, which is where most of the service was coming from. So not a great day for him. Definitely want to get Crescito in there ASAP so he can go back up the field a little bit. But yeah, I know they're trying to put together this hodgepodge back line until, you know, a few people come in, but he's not the guy. You're not the guy, man.
Nope. I would say if you want me to throw in a name that's not a goalkeeper, I'll give an honorable mention shout to Jordan Morris. We were watching him last night and we were talking about it a lot, but he was very non-existent that game. I think he started out on the wing and then ended up more centrally, but he wasn't really getting into good spaces. I granted the service wasn't fantastic last night, but he wasn't really helping to create opportunities for the team, whether it was getting in good spaces or even creating the chances himself. I get it. He hasn't played a ton over the last 2 years, basically, but and I'm sure he'll come into it more. But it was a slow night for him last night, and it really looked like Nashville knew how to take him out of the game.
Yeah, and Nashville's going to do that to every good striker in the league this year, by the way. But
yeah, it's totally fair.
Let's go on into coaches in the hot seat. It is week 1, which means coaches are basically fighting for their jobs.
Yeah, of course.
I've got a few. I hope you got a few.
I've got 1.
I've got 3.
Okay.
My first one is kind of one that's already been out there.
Probably the one I have.
In Matthias Almeida. This guy straight up came out and was like, I've got 10 months until I'm free from this hellhole. Get me out, basically. And his tactics and his expressions on the sideline basically showed that. There's a meme going around right now with him kind of like looking up in the sky, all depressed. 3-1 loss to a Red Bull team that was not really good. Like, we were not very good in that game.
Yeah, they let Tom Barlow score. Come on.
Freeze. I am not going to stand here and listen to Tom Barlow slander. I'm not going to do it. We will end this call right now if this is what this is about.
You already had to listen to it. It's too late at this point.
I am muting you. They put out a player of the week poll for MLS on Twitter, and I just commented on the tweet. The lack of Tom Barlow here is disgusting and appalling, and I got like 4 or 5 likes on it. So big up Red Bull Nation.
You're gonna get blocked from MLS.
But really, back to Almada, right? The biggest issue with him was not really how they were going forward. They didn't look awful going forward, but man, that defensive back line was disgusting. How many times they were left defending like 2 players against 3 or 4? You all pressed up into the midfield, lost the ball, and was just like, okay, have fun. Bye.
That's why he back passes.
Back passes to turnovers. If Red Bull were half decent, this game is 7-0. I mean, legitimately, if they could hit the frame, this game is 7-0. If they play Seattle, Seattle drops 10. Like, no hesitation. Healthy Seattle drops 10 on this team.
Guess who's playing San Jose this upcoming week?
Yeah.
Columbus. They're gonna wreck them.
This team is going to be setting all the wrong kind of records. Like FCC or
I don't know. I think FCC is going to set the record. San Jose is going to be safe.
Almeida already made it clear that he wants to get out of San Jose, but he might just take the whole place down with it before he goes.
He really might.
Was that yours as well?
Yeah, mine was Almeida.
All right. Well, I'll throw 2 more on here.
Go for it.
I put Robin Fraser on there.
That's a hot take right there. They just finished first in the West.
It's an absolutely hot take, but it's not necessarily about the fact that they lost 3-0 to LAFC, because LAFC were good.
I'm guessing it's about CCL.
Not even CCL. The CCL loss doesn't help, and really, this may be a cold take because of whatever backing he has from his board. But you went out there after the CCL tie is over. You are out against Comunicaciones, which is a poor, poor draw. You put out a lineup with no real striker. You tried to sit back and absorb pressure against an LAFC team, fine. But it took you 3 goals from Carlos Vela in 40 minutes before you realized it didn't work. That's not good. That's not good enough. I mean, and it wasn't like it was working. Like, even when it wasn't 3-0, it wasn't working. They got nothing going forward. They barely survived most of the attacks. It wasn't working. And they had Diego Rubio on the bench. They had a bunch of people on the bench that could have come in and played in that striker spot. But again, they didn't do well enough in the offseason, and that's setting this team up for a rough year and Robin Fraser in for a bad spot.
Yeah, don't forget the fact that they're losing Trusty midseason.
Oh yeah.
And their replacement at the moment is, I think, Keita.
Keita,
yeah. He's got good potential, but he's not. I don't think his current ability is up to par yet to like match what Trusty gives to the team.
Right. No, absolutely. Like I said, this team is going to need a massive winter window.
Yeah, I mean they lost a lot of key players, and they're not replacing them at the moment. Like, they lost Bassett. That's a huge loss.
Oh, yeah.
They lost Keller Acosta, another huge loss.
And this ties. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that they have. I know that they have like a couple of guys that you can consider their replacement. I guess they brought in Max to, I guess, be the Cole Bassett replacement, and then they have Mark Anthony Kay as the Keller Acosta replacement. But I think those guys are hard to replace. I knew obviously it was going to be hard, period, but that's going to hurt big time for Fraser.
Oh yeah, again, and lesser known because he left mid-season, but Sam Vines too.
Oh yeah, Sam Vines.
Lucas Estevez is there, but he's on loan, and if this team isn't good, he's not staying, even if they want to pull the option. Outside of all of that, the tactics look awful. That's the main thing for me is he went out. And again, it may have been just a one-time thing, right? Coming back from Comunicaciones, they're tired. They want to rest legs. They take one game. They say, okay, it's LAFC. We probably weren't going to win anyway. Let's rotate. if this becomes a constant thing,
Who's the third?
The third is the meme part of the way too early hot seat. Vanni Sartini in Vancouver, it was his first game, but God, it was a bad first game. Columbus was very good, but that 3-4-1-2, and I kind of made a joke about it on opening day when I tweeted out. I'm like, I'm here for this 3-4-1-2. I'm not here for the 3-4-1-2. It is a disgusting formation. It doesn't work because your outside wingers on your four don't come back in defense. They just hang out and they're like, okay, have fun, and leave Derek Etienne Jr. open for 9 shots a game. It took him a red card to figure out that, or to force him to switch formations, and they actually look better with 10 men. Not a great opening day for Sartini. Hopefully he turns it around a little bit.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. But again, playing against a very strong Columbus team, I agree with you, though. I think the tactics looked off.
Yeah, and again, that's the meme pick, right? He's not actually on the hot seat. It's game 1.
Yeah. Well, nobody's really on the hot seat after game 1, except maybe Almeida.
Yeah, Almeida set his seat on fire. He did it himself.
Almeida's been on the hot seat for like the last, I feel like 3 years, and he may not have even been here for 3 years.
Literally. All right, let's wrap this episode up. This is a quick one.
Well, we can jump it. We'll do our teams then. We'll add.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. We have teams. Let's do star of the week, and then we'll do teams at the end.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So I think we both probably have the same star of the week.
I hope so.
Because it's not that hard. I'll let you go. I did most of the talk on the last one. I'll let you go here.
All right. Well, obviously, the star of the week this week is Jake Mulroney for staying out of the team. Big ups, Jake Mulroney. I'm very proud of you.
All right. Let's get the real one.
All right. Carlos Vela.
Wrong.
What do you mean wrong? Don't tell me.
Carlo.
Stop
it.
Goal. Stop it. I don't want to hear this anymore. Shh. You're done. You're going in timeout. Yeah. Carlos Vela scored a hat trick this week. Obviously, he's going to be the star of the week for this week. Very MLS MVP-esque Carlos Vela this week, which is terrifying for the league. Because if this LAFC team gets, what was it, 2019 MVP Carlos Vela?
I think it was 2018.
2018?
No, 2018 was a Shield. I think it was 2019.
29. Yeah, I think you're right. 2019 MVP Carlos Vela. It's over. LAFC winning this. Carlos Vela. Just wrap it up.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal performance. I think if anybody out here had anybody other than Carlos Vela as the star of the week, you're just wrong. Just flat out wrong.
I wouldn't say flat out wrong. Tom Barlow deserves a shout.
Oh, God, I don't want to hear Tom Barlow. I'm going to mute you again.
No, right. Hat-trick hero usually gets you set up for star of the week. 9.57 player rating, 3 goals on 5 shots, 1 key pass. Numbers don't lie. That's an easy one. The more interesting one for me out of you is going to be flop of the week. And I'm going to let you go first.
Mine's a quick one just because I spoke about him before, but I went with Alec Khan here.
Damn, how do we share this one?
Oh, you went with Khan too?
To be fair, not his fault.
Not Khan's fault?
He was left out to dry on 3 of the 5.
It was partially his fault, though.
Not all his fault. I didn't say not totally his fault.
You can't pinpoint the loss on any one player, of course, but Khan did FCC no favors that game.
His back line. All right, let's go through the goals that he gave up. First goal, Brandon Vasquez swings and miss on a clearance 2 minutes into the brand new season.
Yes, not his fault. Not his fault.
Let's ball go to the back post to go down. Okay, hold on. Can we talk about how FCC are literally the Family Guy meme of the New York Mets?
I don't know what you're talking. Okay, I'll have to look it up.
So just a quick. So Stewie Griffin's sitting in Shea Stadium, and the announcer's over the ballpark, and he goes, "And the first pitch, and the season's over."
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Literally what happened at FCC. 2 minutes into the game, here's the free kick. Brandon Vasquez swings and misses. FCC's done for the year. Give him the wooden spoon.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievable. You could not have asked for a worse start to a season where you needed to be good than what you just did. Second goal. Con punches clears his lines, does really well. Lima gets time to juggle the ball, trap it, volley it into a free running ring because Tyler Blackett's like, oh, look, a soccer ball. then Alex Ring miskicks a volley that goes into the top corner.
You say miskick, I say perfectly puts it in the back of the net.
I play soccer. You are a tenniser. Like, we get it. You don't actually know most things. Third goal, not great. Really good combo play from Austin. I'll give, the buildup was really pretty. But Khan got beat really easily, right? Through his legs.
He has to save it. He has to save it.
Definitely needs to be saved. The fourth goal literally is just a clearance that everybody except Jeff Cameron watches, and they go sweaty. Not his fault. Fifth goal, Zico Bailey gets absolutely burned. Dejite puts in a cross that Khan tries to kick out, goes off his leg and in. He will get better.
Of course he will. Hard to get worse.
It is hard to get worse. You're right. But not the day that he would have wanted to have to start his life as an MLS starting goalkeeper. That being said, this is setting up a comeback for Kenneth Vermeer.
Oh, of course. You have the year of O'Meara and the year of Vermeer.
I do that when I was taking a drink of water. Oh, I want to. Yes. Yes, I love it. Right here. Right here into this vein.
Yeah. But I think people have to I understand that Austin made improvements in this offseason and have gotten better. But just remember, this is the lowest scoring team last season behind FCC. The lowest scoring team in the entire league in the first game of the next season drops 5 on you. That's so bad.
FCC have broken some legal contract somewhere that said that they are not allowed to get worse, and they have. I went back through the years and I looked at some of their rankings or games to start off the season. They have lost 5-0 in 3 of the first 4 seasons in the first 5 games of the season.
Oh, it's so bad.
It hurts to watch. It just hurts to watch.
I think it's just kind of funny at this point. I mean, it hurts because I know that there are diehard FCC fans that just don't.
Bro, it hurts because I've been there. I watched this 25,000 person packed out stadium singing their lungs out for a team that looks like that.
It's terrible.
It is. It hurts. Team of the week?
I went with the Columbus Crew. Hence,
I like that.
The scarf. I had high expectations for them this season. Obviously, recall, if you haven't listened, go take a listen to our standings predictions. I had the Columbus Crew finishing second this year. Why? Because they're healthier now than they were last year. And when we talked about them at the start of 2021, we ranted and raved about how good this Columbus Crew team is on paper. And they really haven't lost a ton. This team is still just as good on paper, except now they're healthier, much healthier than they were last season. They got obliterated by injuries. So now we get to see them all healthy, playing together with a coach that knows how to win in this league, in Caleb Porter. And look what happened in the first week. Granted, I understand it's against Vancouver. Had low expectations for Vancouver this season. But that is what you got to do against bad teams. They obliterated them. 4-0, completely dominated Vancouver. Vancouver was not in that game at all, in my opinion. It was a very good showing, a good start to Lucas Around's MVP season. The only thing it was missing was a Giassi's artist goal.
Which he almost had if he didn't swing and miss.
That's okay. He needs to give other people a chance. He knew Jordan Lewis wasn't going to score later on, so he was like, all right, I'm safe. My spot on the team is safe. I don't have to worry. What do you got? If you picked Red Bull, I'm going to end the call.
Where's the hang up button? Where's the hang up button? No, I'm just kidding. This one was easy for me because I'm a defensive strategist and I'm a nerd for rotational midfield fours. Nashville SC in the Sunday night game. I don't think it is out of the question to say that the midfield three of Godoy, McCarty, Davis in front of Zimmerman, Romney, and Willis may not concede a goal like all year.
I can't see how any team is going to score against them. Honestly, watching that game.
Well, here's the thing, right? As great as they are individually, the way that they rotated and covered and pressed each other was unbelievable for a team that's playing their first game. To be fair, Seattle really didn't do a lot to pull them out of space. We were talking about their rotations where they tried to get mismatches on the wingbacks, Eric Miller and Daniel Lovitz, by pulling a midfielder out. And when either Davis or Godoy kind of followed, that other center mid is supposed to fill that gap to give them an option to play through the middle, and they just didn't. So it ended up being long balls that weren't super accurate. And, obviously Nashville found success there, but they rotate so well. They were able to break, and in the attack too, right? When Hani Mukhtar ran to lay out pick of the ball, they were able to go vertical, run at defenses, make them turn and run back to their goal. The basic simple thing, but they did it so calmly and so smoothly. And eventually they worked the ball down the sideline, got the square ball and found the back post runner, right? But this team is going to be disgustingly good. And again, as a person who really respects a good defensive shape, like right here in my heart, that was probably one of the better performances I've seen in a long time. Nashville SC, my team of the week. Great performance against Seattle. Stayed strong defensively, made a few good saves, and then broke down a really good Seattle back line to get a goal. So go on Nashville.
I think Gary Smith played that game as perfect as he could have played it. I mean, we know Seattle has numerous talent on that field from everywhere, from the back to the front. And he neutralized that team perfectly. Like there was so few moments where I actually thought Seattle had anything threatening. And Nashville just played it perfectly. Like they countered super well. They sat in, absorbed the pressure super well, and then were patient and got their chance, and they took it. Perfect win. I totally a great shout on Nashville there.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty good.
All right, settle down now. Worst of the week? Yeah, just say it. Come on, it has to be.
I'm gonna let you pick Cincinnati because that's the obvious.
Of course, I picked Cincinnati. I've been waiting all week to dunk on Cincinnati for their performance in week 1. Come on.
I will let you go last so we can end on a Cincinnati rant.
All right, that's fair.
I'm stuck between Colorado and Vancouver. That for like the second worst team of the week. I'm gonna go Vancouver because I'm gonna go Colorado. I thought Colorado looked worse than Vancouver. They gave up 4 goals, but they were down a man for a little bit of that time. Colorado were level, and I have notes on this somewhere. Actually, it might have been tweets, but Colorado played a 5-2-3 or a 5-4-1, and every time they got their wing backs high, the center of the field was just empty. Nobody was checking into space to switch the ball. The shape looked like garbage. And it almost looked like nobody really wanted to play. The only time they got to switch the field was Mark Anthony Kaye or actually it was Lawless Abubakar who did it mostly, would dribble into that empty space and switch the field on their own. No midfielder did any work to switch the ball. I mean, you can probably count the number of touches. You know what? I probably can count the number of touches. on a Colorado player, and goodness me, it would probably be super low, but it looked uninspired. That is the way I'm going to put it. It looked like they didn't want to be there, and it showed, right? The score line showed. So if I had to pick, yeah, here we go. Let me sort these touches here. Out of Colorado Rapids players, Jack Price had 100 touches, but that's because he was on the ball most of the time as a like set piece free kick taker. The other center mid was Brian Acosta. He had 37 touches. Outside of that, you had Max, who was kind of in there. He had 37 touches. Then Nicholas Mosquito had 23. Jonathan Lewis, playing as a striker, had 21 touches. How? Lucas Estevez, 89 touches. Everything going through your left back, but never switching the ball. You know, you compare it to the center mids of Los Angeles. Illy Sanchez, 78. Jose Cifuentes, 65. Kel Acosta, 45. Right? I mean, they're constantly much more frequently on the ball. And it showed how they were able to switch the field and get the ball to their attacking players, right? Carlos Vela only had 41 touches, but he got them in the right areas, right? Jack Price, if we looked at a heat map of Jack Price, which I think I can also pull up. Yeah. So if you look at a heat map of, and I know people can't see this, but if you look at a heat map of Jack Price versus, we'll pick Jose Cifuentes. We'll pick Illy Sanchez. They were both the leading point getters. Jack Price is picking the ball up more frequently in his own half, where like right outside the box there to try and start the play. Whereas Illy Sanchez is not consistently in one spot, but always all over the field. And that is the difference there. It looked like Colorado didn't want to play.
They probably don't. Can't say they wanted to play in CONCACAF either. Those performances were very uninspiring.
What happened between being first in the, I mean, other than selling most of your players, you know, where did that drive and desire go?
I just think they overachieved last season, and we knew this team was not.
Yeah, no, we made it very clear that this was the worst number one seed out of the West for a long time.
Yeah, easily.
All right, go on your Cincinnati rant.
All right. At the start of the season, the most common quote that I saw about FCC was, "It can't get worse," right?
That came from me.
It came from a lot of people. And I'm not going to say it was worse. I'm not going to say it was. Honestly, I genuinely do believe the quote that it can't get worse for this team. I guess if they went winless, right, then that's worse. But man, the bar was so low. It would have taken almost nothing to have gotten better, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. You could argue that they got worse. I wouldn't disagree with you. I get it. It's game number one. It's a long season. I don't expect FCC to have any semblance of a chance at the playoffs this year. I think, again, I mentioned they played Austin, the lowest scoring team in the league last season, and they scored 5. FCC fans, MLS fans deserve so much more than what FCC is producing on the field. This league is taking leaps and bounds and steps ahead. Even terrible teams in the West, like Houston, are like making attempts to make their team better. And I looked at this offseason for FCC, and I confidently told myself, this team did not get better. They didn't. They stayed the same. We looked at their signings. They were not good. They were not taking strides to improve this team, while the quality in the league has consistently grown and grown quickly. Every other team is leaps and bounds better in terms of quality over FCC. I still expect FCC to get their obligatory 4 wins every season. Every time they go play Columbus, somehow they magically pull out a win. Columbus needs to sort that out because if you do that this season, you're done for. The laughing stock of the league. I have a note here. I think it's a little harsh. It's only week 1, but I'll go with the hot take here. This could honestly be FCC's worst season yet.
Wow.
I just feel like it could be. And that's saying something, seeing as how they have multiple seasons where they only won 4 games.
That is
This team is not good.
they're not.
I think they got worse in the offseason. They brought a player out of retirement. They brought in a goalkeeper who hasn't started a game in years. They brought back multiple guys who were on their teams in the past that were not even remotely successful. They brought back like a nearly 40-year-old midfielder. Like they brought in John Nelson, who barely played at all last season. Who else did they bring in? They brought in Dominic Badji, which he was strong last year, but he's not a game changer for this team. And I don't remember who else they brought in. But that's just not good enough. This team needed way more help than that. All right.
Are you done?
Rant is done. Rant is done.
All right. Well, then that is the episode done. Thank you, everybody, for listening to our quick wrap up of week 1. This is kind of going to be a weekly thing. We're going to sit down, watch as many games as we can, which will get tougher as the season goes on with life getting crazier. However, that being said, we will do our best to keep an eye on things and follow around the league. So let us know if you want us to add any more sections. I mean, I think the coach's hot seat won't be a weekly thing. We'll probably talk about teams up, teams down, but we can always add new things. So let us know what you want to listen, what you want our opinions. What opinions do you want to hear out of us? We are really good at that.
They're like, none. We don't want to hear any opinions from you.
Make sure you listen to our last episode where we broke down the Kevin Thelwell departure from Red Bull, the Jesse Marsh move to Leeds and what it means for American coaches, and the Don Garber retirement league comments against Neymar. A really good one. I had a really good time recording that. I thought it was a really great episode, and we'll be breaking down some more MLS news and headlines coming next week. So make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you know when we go live. Follow us on all forms of social media so you can know when we're posting our clips, and you can like and interact with us. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We're all over the place. You got anything else to say?
You got a quick, we'll call it question of the day for you here.
Ooh,
there's only one correct answer, and you better give it. What?
We need to go back. We need to get more questions a day for this segment.
Yeah, we can start up. We can start back up with them. But this is a super easy one. There's only one answer, and you better answer it correctly. Goal of the week.
Oh my God, Tom Barlow's tap in.
It's over.
No, that the bicycle kick out of Portland for Yimmy Chara takes the cake.
Yes.
Unbelievable techers. And this is why MLS is one of the best leagues in the world, because that happens like once every 3 weeks in MLS, something crazy like that.
Oh yeah. You see like, I don't know, Jay Rodriguez do that for Burnley, and they act like it's the next Puskas winner.
Yeah.
It happens every week in MLS. Boring. Do something new.
Yeah, really. Come on, get on our level.
I won't be excited until I see a goalkeeper do a scorpion kick goal. Just saying.
Just saying, get on our level.
Yeah.
Until next episode, we'll see you next time on the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.